Welcome to Flourishment, the podcast on living life as you are meant to, so you can flourish. Welcome, everyone. I am overjoyed today to have my friend Michelle Medlock Adams here on Flourishment. She is a New York Times bestselling, award-winning author of over 100 books. And her latest release is called Daschund Through the Snow, which is a really cute play on words. And because of the themes in this book, she's here to talk to us today about helping kids dig out of fear. Welcome, Michelle. I'm so excited to have you here with me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is always fun when I get to chat with you.
Yes, absolutely. And it's always a joy to talk to you about your passion for loving children and bringing them hope and enlightenment and encouragement through the books that you write. And I love this topic, especially as a therapist, because I know kids are in a tremendous place of fear like we've never seen before. And I love that you've addressed this with this adorable children's book in a way that's going to help kids find hope and courage and empowerment. So let's talk about why it's important to talk to your kids about fear.
I think that is so true. You know, years ago, I think it was 2006, I had a book come out called I Will Not Be Afraid. And that was Concordia Publishing House. And I wrote that because my girls were afraid. They were little girls then. I was traveling with work, with speaking and teaching, writing. And I can tell you that that book is filled with scriptures addressing every kind of childhood fear that, and I was intentional to have a Bible promise at the bottom of each of the pages. Then in rhyme, it's for a little bit younger child than my recent book. And that book continues to sell. And the reason it continues to sell is because every year another baby's born. You know, all over the world, we have lots of babies being born, and there are new kids who are facing new kinds of fears. And with COVID and the past couple of years and what we've been dealing with, having to be separated from schoolmates and from friends and from grandparents, the fears have just multiplied. So I didn't intentionally set out to write a book about fear again. This is Dachshund Through the Snow, and it's a fun Christmas story. However, Crosby does have to face his fears. The little dachshund's name is Crosby in this book, and he has to face his fears of insecurity, of not being good enough, not being able to do big things because he's such a small dog. He's the smallest dog in all of Diggityville. So, that he's known for that. In fact, he's worldwide famous for that, and yet he doesn't want to just be known for being a small dog, a very tiny dog for a dachshund. He wants to be known for something much bigger, much greater. And so I think that really does probably hit home for a lot of families, children and adults. I think if you talk to any woman, especially, there are insecurities. I just had a big birthday yesterday, and every year that you get is just a gift. I mean, I think if COVID's taught us anything, it's taught us that. So I'm so grateful for another year to be here on this earth. But also, with every year comes some insecurities. Gosh, am I still in the game? Can I still do this? Am I too old? No matter where you are in life, you have insecurities, and you deal with those self-worth kind of issues. And it doesn't matter if you've been raised up in the church and been in the Word of God all your life, or if you're a new Christian, or if you don't even know the Lord. We all face these kind of insecurities. And children is exactly what you said. I've seen it more and more now that I'm back in the schools and able to talk with kids. You can see it. They're so anxious, and what they've been through is traumatic. So I hope that this book is going forward and making them feel a little more secure. And even though I don't put the word in this book, this is a book and it has Santa in it. It's really my first Christmas book that's not about the nativity. So it was a little bit of a departure for me, but I was intentional about that because I wanted to be able to go into the public schools and into public forums and really infiltrate the general market with this book and with this word of encouragement and hope for kids. Know that they can do big things. I always sign the book, you can do big things no matter your size. And that's what I want kids to know, is that they are important and that they are called for this time and that they can do big things. Even if they don't think they can, they are equipped to do it.
I love that. And kids are really insecure about what they can do right now because they've been behind in school. And so they're struggling academically and socially, and they don't feel as though they can do big things. So I love that you're presenting this message in a relatable way using this adorable dachshund that you have. And you have dachshunds, don't you, in your house?
I do have one scratching again in this room, actually. Her name is Molly May. She's such the diva of our house. She is 15 and a half years old. Dachshunds, are sweet little dogs. They really are more like humans than they are animals. They just are precious. And I've had them since I was a little girl. Actually, I was born when my sister was 17 and my brother was 15. So I sort of grew up in a home by myself, really. They were teenagers. They weren't going to mess with a baby, right? So my best friend was my dachshund, Penny. And she was this big fat wiener dog. She was not supposed to be full size, just be miniature, but she was a little portly. She was kind of big. And she was my best friend. I mean, she lived to be 14. We were both 14. I mean, we grew up together when she passed. And so I've always had a love for dachshunds because I guess my first best friend was my dachshund Penny. My first piece of writing, Tina, was about my dog Penny. It was called Ode to Penny. It was a poem I wrote in first grade, all about my silly dog Penny, and it won first place. So dachshunds have been a part of my writing career from the very first day.
Oh, wow.
So, ironic, but it took me a lot of years. I mean, 100 books or so before I decided to write a children's book about a dachshund. And it was just the right story. Dachshunds are known for their digging abilities. They were actually bred in Germany to go down into holes, to burrow into holes, to get badgers. They have no fear. Dachshunds don't know their size. I mean, Molly will go into Doberman today. She has no fear. She doesn't know. Well, this particular dachshund in my book, Crosby, is a great burrower. He is one of the best, in fact, and he wants desperately to be in the Arctic Animal Olympic. That's his dream. But when he gets in line to go sign up for the Olympics, when he's finally the right age, he's too small. He doesn't meet the height requirement. And if you've ever been a kid who's been in line to go on a roller coaster or something and you don't meet the height requirement, that is devastating. It's like the worst thing ever. I remember that happened to me because I've always been really short for I'm still short, but even as a child, I was short. I remember trying to poof my hair up. It was, trying to be able to put my ponytail on top of my head. And I still didn't make the height requirement. So I wrote that because I thought there's probably a lot of children who can relate to that. So in the book, Crosby doesn't make the height requirement. And then they all laugh at him. The other animals in line laugh at him and make fun of him. So he's bullied a little bit for it's something that he can't control. And that's the thing about bullying, when it's never fun, but especially when it's about something, a physical characteristic or something that you can't change or you can't control. It's even more disheartening for kids. And so I just wanted to address that, and not hit it real hard because it's a fun holiday tale, but just let kids know that, even cool dogs like Crosby get bullied, but that doesn't deter Crosby from running smack dab into his destiny and saving Christmas. So that's really, I mean, even though it's a fun book, and I hope it's a book that's reread every Christmas, and it just brings the right message. I do have some little elements of, like you said, facing your fears and overcoming bullying, because I think that's where we're at. That's the world we live in right now. I think that kids who are hurting, they hurt others. That's what happens, right? Is they're hurting people, hurt others. And so sometimes kids aren't kind to each other. And I've seen some of that even with my own great nieces and nephews. And it's devastating. It really is. And so I'm hoping that this will show children not to do that. And if you are being bullied, to know that it has nothing to do with you. It's really about the other person feeling badly about themselves.
I love that you use this small animal that has a specific talent, something that they can dig out of their fear. Because sometimes kids feel buried. They feel like they're trapped. They feel like they have to dig out from their fears or their insecurities or from a situation they can't get out of. And God equips every child with beautiful things and who they are and how they were made. And he gives them things that they're meant to use to dig out from under fear and insecurity and into a place of purpose. So no matter how little your child is, let them know as a parent that they are special, that they've been given gifts. And a story like this that's heartwarming can be a way that parents can help affirm their children in who they are in Christ, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I love what you said about digging out from under fear. It can feel like a big blanket of fear, trying to get out from underneath. I totally get that. That is, as adults or as children, we face that. Mm-hmm. Speaking about parents, whether you're the parent or the caregiver, or you homeschool your children, or you are a teacher in the schools, I have activity sheets on my website that if you go to my website, which is MichelleMedlockAdams.com, under this book, you can actually click on it. They're free, but it's a whole activity packet that you can do with your kids. And we address some of these things. Also, there's some fun things for the kids to do, just because I think it's important to have some activities, especially if they're home on the 2-week break for the holidays. Maybe you haven't had them in the house for a bit and you need something to keep them busy while you're wrapping presents or whatever. That'll help you out.
Well, I'm going to take a commercial break for just a second and talk about a course that I have coming out that is out. It's called Your Stress Less and Joy Blessed Holiday Season. So, if you're experiencing stress as a parent this holiday season, or as a grandparent, or as an adult in any shape or form, you can take this course and it's only $44.99. And there's coupons and discounts. If you just let me know that you want a discount code, I will get it to you. And that course is going to give you everything you need to have a stress-free, a joy blessed season that is less expensive with more meaning. So if you're interested in something like that, let me know. And now let's get back to our discussion with Michelle about how to talk to your kids. How can using a story help lift up your children and help them to feel like they can connect with their feelings and connect with their sense of identity and purpose and self-esteem?
I think books, stories in general, it's a great way to teach without being so in your face. That's why Jesus used parables. It's a way to show examples and you can learn through example. But when you have that story time with your children, and that used to be my favorite thing we would do with my girls when they were little, was that last thing we did before they went to bed, right before prayers, is we read a story. It sort of changed the craziness of the night. It just was a shifting of gears. It was that settling down time, the cuddle up time. They'd always be in our laps or sitting with us when they got a little bit older. We'd read the story and it just sort of, everybody sort of took a deep breath, and it was a switching of the energy level. And when you get to that place with your kids, they're more apt to receive. It's like all the craziness, and my girls were always like, God, they were 100 miles an hour, always doing something and active, and mine just always busy. But it was that time to sort of really be thoughtful and thinking about the story itself. And we would do it even before there was that back matter stuff where you would, have questions and things. I would always do that. I'm like, well, what did you think? Have you ever felt like Crosby before? Have you ever been bullied? And they might not tell you that they've been bullied, but when you're talking about their defenses are down a little bit, they've got this peacefulness of it. As they're sitting there reading right before bedtime, they might actually open up and share to you about a time they were bullied you didn't know about. They don't just don't come home and tell you everything, especially boys. I know I have grandsons now, and it's so different in how they respond to questions. My girls would tell you every detail of everything. I mean, not all girls are like that, but mine were. They're pretty descriptive. I would know who or what that day and who broke up with who. And like when they got older, boys, it's like, how was your day? Fine. You get a fine. You can't read a lot into the fine. You don't know if it was really fine. But through story, a lot of times we can find out because I think it's because our guards are down. And there's just that peacefulness where we can talk openly in a safe place. Stories will do that for you. And it takes the pressure off of them specifically. We're talking about the character in the book, which then leads to a discussion about what's going on in their lives. I love the way stories will do that.
That's great. And it bonds you with your children during that story time. We've come to a place where we like to watch movies with our kids, and that's fine too. But it's not the same as the experience your child has when you read to them from a book and you have them cuddled up close to you and you're following along with the words and the pictures in the storybook. It's a very different psychological and emotional experience of bonding with a child and a parent. So really, really emphasize that time that you have with your kids when they're young enough for you to tell them a story, read them a story, and bond with them in that way. And you can actually do more to address their emotional needs, like you said, with that story, because their guard isn't up like it is with a real lesson kind of a presentation of something. And they will receive that story and they'll explore the themes in that story at a different level than they will with a regular lesson or a direct conversation about a topic. So I love that you have this charming and wonderful story about children. Is there anything that you want to let parents know about Dachshund Through the Snow or any other topics that relate to reading to your children at Christmas time? Because I think this is a Christmas message for a reason, right?
Absolutely. Christmas time, because you do get time off from school if your kids are in public school. And even if they're not, everything sort of shuts down for a couple of weeks around December. Now, not shut down like the COVID shutdown, but shut down like people just stay home with their families a little bit more around the holidays, or they travel to their families for the holidays. There's this urgency to just sort of be with one another. And because we didn't have that last year, many of us, I think even more so this year, something we always loved to do with our girls when they were young, and I'm hoping to start that tradition with my grandchildren this year because they're old enough now. I have 5, and the oldest 3 are old enough to do this. Is we would take 12 books and we would have the 12 books of Christmas. That's not original to me. A lot of families did this, but I learned about it from a MOPS group that I was a part of, and I thought, what a great idea, because we always love to read, and to pick out specifically 12 books about Christmas, it just made that build up and that excitement of getting ready for the holidays with the girls even more exciting. And you could expand it. You could do one for every day. You could do 24 books leading up to Christmas Eve if you wanted to, however you want to do it. But I just think that it gives them a chance to actually pick out books. We would go to the library and say, what 12 books do you guys want to read? Or I would ask people to buy them books for Christmas, because you can never have too many books. So we just, over the years, we have quite a collection of children's picture books. And then we always had one special picture book that we would read on Christmas Eve, if it was like the nativity story. And if we didn't have one that really met that bill, then we would, and my daddy always wanted to do this anyway. My dad, who's now in heaven, would read the Christmas story, and he would read it out of the children's Bible, though, so it was a little more understandable for the kids. And I just remember that being such a special time. And then something else you can do that we did, and I hope we do it again this year, is when we all get together, you're busy, you're eating fudge, and everybody's wanting to open at least one present Christmas Eve and all those kinds of things. But we would always settle down after reading the Christmas story, and we would ask everybody to go around and just give one thing that they were thankful for this year before we headed into the next year. And some of the things were, very meaningful. It was probably my favorite thing we ever did as a family, because it was the only time that my brother was ever serious. He's just a goofball, but just to hear the heart from every person, and even the little ones, they would be nervous, but they would participate. They might say something that you didn't even know that meant something to them. And I think those are some of those family connecting times and bonding times that you were talking about. So reading to your kids, picking out those 12 books for the 12 books of Christmas, and then maybe doing that, reading the actual Christmas story, either from the Bible, or if you have a little picture book that tells the story, if it's easier for the younger kids. And then asking everybody to share one thing that they're thankful for this season. In this commercialized world that we live in, I think it's great to bring it back down to the basics. And we're just so grateful, and so what a gift that Jesus was to us, right? And just to bring it back down to that real basic message, that's what it's all about. And if you can do it in a fun way, they'll remember it.
Absolutely. And Dachshund Through the Snow is a story about courage and purpose, and so is the original story of Christmas. It's definitely courage in the midst of darkness, when there was oppression, when there was bullying going on for the people there, when there was actually a sense of what is our purpose as a people, and how can this little baby have significance? He was so small. All of those things are part of the original main meaning for Christmas. And I love that you could take this charming story, Dachshund Through the Snow, and relate it to that for your kids and help them think, oh, now I see the story that I've read so many times. I can see how I can connect with that in this way. So that's a wonderful gift that you are giving as an author and as a speaker to families this Christmas. How can they stay more connected with you, Michelle?
I would love to hear from all of you. Online on all the social media platforms, I am IN Writer Girl, because I'm from Indiana. So that's what that's about, IN Writer Girl. And then MichelleMedlockAdams.com. I have a blog on my website, and lots of resources for kids and for parents. And then my books are available pretty much wherever books are sold, always on Amazon, ChristianBook.com. In-Game Press, which is my publisher for Daschund Through the Snow, they have that book in case Amazon sells out again. It sold out. We were so thrilled, but then also sad because there weren't any more, but they're back in stock. So make sure you pick up a copy. And I thought I would read one little thing from the Daschund Through the Snow book, which is the illustrator, Ashley, did a beautiful job. But this was sort of the message that I wanted to come through. And at the very end, I won't tell you I won't give the whole story away, but Crosby does get a gold medal. And on the imprintation on it says, "Short or tall doesn't matter at all. It's your ginormous heart that sets you apart." And then Santa leaves Crosby a letter that says, "My dearest Crosby, thank you for saving Christmas. Please accept this gold medal as a token of my gratitude, and let it always remind you that the best things come in small packages." And what a great way to let kids know you are important. You may be little, but you're mighty. You're mighty inside. You're big on the inside. And kids need to know that they can do big things no matter their size or age.
Oh, I love that so much. And I'm sure that every parent and grandparent out there, everyone that has nephews or nieces that age would want to have a copy of this for those that they love at Christmas. So what I would like to do is I would like to purchase a copy to give away to a lucky reader. So if you will subscribe to my newsletter or to this podcast, just let me know on any of the social media sites or any of the places where you're viewing this. Message me to let me know that you've made that subscription. And this week, I will pick a winner. So by the second Saturday of 2021 in December, I will pick a winner of this wonderful Christmas book for children, and you can get your own copy of Dachshund Through the Snow. And if you don't want to wait to see if you won and you don't mind getting 2 copies, which would still be lovely, go ahead and find this book from all the places that Michelle mentioned and get your own copy as a gift. It's a wonderful, beautiful piece of literature for children.
Thank you.
And I hope that all of you will connect with Michelle and enter the contest. Of course, I also hope that you will come back for the next episode of Flourishment.